Winner says if it's to be, it's up to me. Loser says I can't help it. Folks, we all have heard many self-made success stories. Have you ever heard a self-made failure story? Probably not. They always blame someone. Winner says if it's to be, it's up to me. Loser says I can't help it. Folks, we all have heard many self-made success stories. Have you ever heard a self-made failure story? Probably not. They always blame somebody else. You ask any failure, success is a matter of luck. They'll always tell you that. I've been asked, success is tough. I say, of course it is, but you try failing if that's easy. I'll tell you, failing is a lot tougher than success. Going back many, many years, I was in Toronto. I heard a story of two brothers. One was a drug addict, drunkard, used to beat up his family, and his blood brother had a great business, wonderful family, highly respected all over. Some people wanted to find out how could two brothers of the same family be so apart. So they went to the druggie and asked him, how come you do all the wrong things? Where do you get your motivation from? He said, my father. He said, what about your father? He said, when I was a little boy, he said, my father was a drug addict, drunkard, used to beat up my family. That's what I used to see. That's what I am. What do you expect me to be? So they went to his brother who was doing everything right and asked him, where do you get your motivation from? And guess what he said? The same thing, my father. He said, what about my father? What about your father? He said, when I was a little boy and I used to see my dad do all the wrong things, I made up my mind, I'll never be like him. They are both drawing strength from the same source. One is using for the positive, and the other is using for the negative. Many times we think we're taking the easier way, which ends up to be the tougher way. One time, there was a lark sitting in the forest singing, and a man came by with a box full of worms. He was taking them to the marketplace to exchange them for the feather. The lark said, look, I have to hunt my own worms every day. I have lots of feathers. Why don't you give me the worms, and I'll pluck and give you the feather. It'll save me hunting, save you going. Seemed like a good trade. And the lark got the worms and plucked the feather, gave it to the man. Next day the same thing happened. The third day, the same thing happened. The fourth day, till a day came, the lark had no more feathers to give. It couldn't hunt its own worms. Stopped singing very soon. The lark died. What is the moral of the story? Very simple. What the lark thought it was taking the easier way ended up to be the tougher way. Folks, that's the key. There are no shortcuts in life. And many times when we start taking shortcuts, we start compromising our values. Successful winners accept responsibility. Losers always blame someone else. They play the blame game. You know what the blame game is? My parents did it, teacher did it, company did it, economy did it, country did it. Somebody else did it, my star did it, horoscope did it, fate did it. I never did it. They will never accept responsibility. Folks, success is a matter of laws and it's not a matter of luck. And the first law of success says, it's called the law of cause and effect, which says in the vernacular, the law of sowing and reaping. Our mind is like a garden. If you plant good seeds, you'll have a good garden. But if you don't plant good seeds, something will grow, and they will be weeds, because nature abhors a vacuum. Either we have a positive or we have a negative. There is no neutral. When I wrote my book, You Can Win, I had two nephews. They were 12 and 14, and they were playing tennis like professionals. So So one day my cousin came over and said, Shiv, this game is getting very expensive. These kids are going through the racket, the ball, the coach, the loan fees. The game is getting very expensive. I said, getting expensive as compared to what? It's relative. But then I said, if it's so expensive, why don't you have them stop playing tennis? But tell me, when they come back from school at 1 or 3, they have all the time at hand and all the energy in their body. If they will not play tennis, what will they do? There was a silence for 30 seconds. He said, I think it's cheaper this way, I'll continue. Why? Folks, our mind is like a garden. If you don't plant good seeds, weeds automatically come in. Either we have a positive or we have a negative. There's no neutral here. But you go ask a farmer. Even if you do plant good seeds, weeds still come, don't they? And there are two ways of getting rid of weeds. One is the lawnmower way. You mow the lawn, you chop the head, and you think they're gone, but are they really? But the second way is you take a sharp object, get on your knees, and plug it out of the ground. It's a tougher way, but a more permanent way. That is what we are talking in terms of law of sowing and reaping. Folks, the law of sowing and reaping says, 1, you must have the desire to sow. 2, desire alone won't do it, you must sow too. 3, you sow tomatoes, you're not going to get potatoes. 4, when you sow, you don't reap the fruit the same day. There's a gestation period, but the kind of world we're living today, everybody wants to reap right the moment they sow. It doesn't work that way. There's got to be a gestation waiting period in life. And 5, it says you must sow first. You can't reap before you sow. But the kind of world we're living today, people want to reap before they sow, and it doesn't work that way at all. You can't go to the fireplace and say, give me heat, then I put wood. You got to put in wood before you get the heat. You got to sow first. And then 6, when you sow a seed, you don't reap a fruit. You harvest is manyfold. When you sow a positive seed, you harvest is manyfold in the positive. And when you sow a negative seed, you harvest is manyfold in the negative too. Comes down to very clear the law of sowing and reaping, which is what brings us down to the last point, which says either we are part of the solution or we are part of the problem. And if we are not part of the solution, then we are the problem. And let me revert back to the law of sowing and reaping, which says, how does it translate in our real life? It says, you sow a thought, you reap an action. You sow an action, you reap a habit. You sow a habit, you reap a character. And you sow a character, you reap a destiny. Start again. You sow a thought, you reap an action. An action does not come without a thought process. The thought process may be conscious or subconscious, that's different, but positively there was a thought behind it. How many times you hear people saying, success or money has gone into their head, look at that person, they become arrogant. Reverse it. There are many people, when they become successful or they become rich, wealthy, they become humble. Has success or money brought arrogance or humility? Absolutely not. It has only brought to surface whatever was hiding before. That's all. Sow a thought, you reap an action. Sow an action, you reap a habit. Any action you do repeatedly becomes a habit. Folks, right from childhood, all our parents said the same thing. Form good habits, and habits form characters. Because 90% of our behavior is habitual. We never think, we just act. You got good habits, you're a positive character. You got bad habits, you're a negative character, because 90% of behavior is habitual. And good habits are hard to come by, but they're easy to live with. Bad habits come easy, but they're hard to live with. And before you got the habits got you. Have you heard this phrase which says, practice makes perfect? absolutely not true. Practice only makes permanent whatever you practice. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Some people keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in making mistakes. Every time they do it, they mess up because that's what they have practiced. Folks, you sow a habit, you reap a character. And you sow a character, you reap a destiny. Important thing is, thoughts are causes. Can we choose our thoughts? And if we can choose our thoughts, we can control our destiny. And that is really the bottom line. We can all choose our destiny. I've asked this one question to many decision makers all over the world. If there was one thing you'd like to see change that would make your organization more productive, what would it be? And everybody came back with one word, and they said attitude. If our people had a better attitude, we'd have a better teamwork, quality would go up, bottom line would go up. The most important word in the English language is the word attitude today. There was a study conducted which said 85% of the time a person gets a job or a promotion is because of their attitude. 15% how smart they are, how many facts and figures they know. And almost 100% of education dollars go to teach facts and figures, which accounts for only 15% of success. And what we are talking is the 85%. Which is what brings us to the point, it is not our position, but our disposition that determines success. Now, what is disposition? Disposition is nothing else but our attitude. What is the difference between skill and competence? Skill is an ability. Competence is ability along with the attitude and the desire to perform. There are many skillful people who are totally incompetent because they don't have the skill, they don't have the desire and the willingness to perform, which is what says ability is important. Ability will take you up there, but dependability is crucial. Why? Because if you have a person with all the ability, but if they're not dependable, do you want them? Obviously not. Which says ability without dependability is a liability, and that is crucial. Says one more, which says our life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. What a contradiction. Well, is it really? Not really, it is not. If I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat a person with discourtesy, I have chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I drink too much tonight, I've chosen a headache tomorrow morning, haven't I? This is life full of choices. Now, as they say, we are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. Now, does that mean that everything is in our control in life? Obviously not. There are some things beyond. I didn't decide where I was going to be born. I didn't decide the color of my skin. If this is my height, that's the way it is. I can't be 6'10". There are some things beyond control. Sometimes kids are born deformed. What wrong did they do? Who knows? Sometimes bad things happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? As they say in life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us, but what we can choose is how we play the game. We cannot choose the direction of the wind, but what we can choose is how we set the sail. This is what says life is a question not of our position, but our disposition, which is our attitude. Granted, sometimes nature gives us a lemon. Now the choice is yours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? That's the choice. Bottom line comes, how did we get this title which says winners don't do different things, they do things differently? It came as a counter to a phrase which says winning is not everything, it is the only thing. Many times when people take that as a philosophy, sometimes they get a distorted meaning to the word killer instinct. If you ask a person on the street what is killer instinct, they'll tell you you got to win by hook or by crook. Is that killer instinct? Absolutely not. That is pure cheating. Killer instinct means two things. One, you never put in 100%, you always put in 200%. And two, in order to win, you must cash in on your opponent's mistake. Not cashing on the opponent's mistake is a mistake. But in order to win, to start playing foul, that is not killer instinct, that is pure cheating, which is what says we need to do the right thing for the right reason. Many people do the right thing for the wrong reason or the wrong thing for the right reason. Example, some people are honest because they believe it's the right thing to do. That's character. They're doing the right thing for the right reason. Whereas some people are honest because they don't want to get caught telling lies. They're doing the right thing for the wrong reason. They are building a reputation of honesty, but are they really honest? That's the big question. Folks, there's a world of a difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what other people think of us. And character is what we know who we are. And they could be totally two different items. Character is what we would not do if we knew we would not get caught. That is character. Success depends on our choices in life. As they say, circumstances do not make a person, they only reveal him to himself. How come? Under the same set of circumstances, some people break records and others break themselves. Isn't that amazing? How come under the same set of circumstances, some people break records and others break themselves? There's a saying that comes from Russia, which says, a hammer shatters glass, but forges steel. It is the same blow of hammer. When it hits glass, it shatters, but when it hits steel, it becomes even stronger. The question is, are we glass or are we steel? That's the big question. As they say, life is a grindstone. Either it can polish you up or grind you down, depending on what you're made of. As they say, there are only three kinds of people in this world. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. Question is, what category are we? That's the big question. Folks, winners always put a little bit extra, even when it hurts. That's the big question. I believe the world title on wrestling was won by a person called Dan Gable. And they asked him, how did you do it? He said, when I was practicing and I went through my daily routine, I wanted to give up. But then I pictured in my mind what my opponent be doing. He said he must be still practicing. So I went back into more practice. I came to a point I couldn't get up anymore. I wanted to give up. I pictured in my mind what my opponent be doing. I saw him still practicing. I went back into more practice. He said, till it point came, I just couldn't lift myself anymore. And I pictured, I don't think my opponent can lift anymore either. I pictured him in the shower. Guess what I did? I went back into more practice. Is it a coincidence that this person is a champion? Absolutely not. Winners don't do different things. They do things differently. They put in that extra effort even when it hurts. World record on high jump. This record holder, somebody asked him, how do you clear a bar over 7 foot? How do you clear? And he said, I throw my heart over the bar and my body follows. Is there any coincidence he's a winner? Absolutely not. Winners don't do different things, they do things differently. In fact, what is the difference between winners and losers? Winners form the habit of doing things that losers don't like to do. What are the things that they don't like to do? Exactly the same things that losers don't like to do. Losers don't like to get up in the morning. Winners don't like to get up in the morning either, but they get up anyway. Losers don't like to work hard. Winners don't like to work hard either, but they work hard anyway. Winners form the habit of doing things that losers don't like to do, and that is the winning edge. I'm sure most of you people have been to the horse races, seen at the race course. The winning horse that comes first wins 3-1, 5-1, 10-1, depending on the odds in the betting. Now the big question is, the horse that comes first wins 10-1. Is he 10 times faster than the next one? Not really. He might be just faster by the nose, but the rewards are 10 times bigger. Exactly whatever happens at the race course with the horses happens the same thing in our real life with human beings too. Do we have to be 10 times smarter than a competition? Not really. All we need is the nose, and the rewards are 10 times bigger, and that is called the winning edge. Folks, the most important thing is losers count their days, winners make the days count. Make your days count. That's it.